So we are live with the Node.js release workgroup meeting for the 8th of October 2020. We will work from the agenda, which is in the Node.js release repository, and it's issue number 615. I will share my screen, and at the same time, is there any announcements anyone would like to make today?
I would like to make a quick announcement thanking you, Beth, for all the hard work on the 15 release. It was exciting to see the RC.1 go out yesterday, including NPM 7.
Awesome, thanks. And I'll stick a link to that in the minutes in case anyone watching the stream or watching back wants to download and try it out. In other news, there was a 14.13.1 release yesterday that people might want to check out. And I believe that's probably all for the announcements for this week. So we'll move straight on to the first discussion point, which is, I know Miles mentioned it just down here. It's the discussion around pushing out the maintenance date for Node 12 and also the additional Semver minor that we're planning to do. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and kick off discussion there.
Yeah, I guess like a really quick one was like we ended up being a little delayed from getting this 12 Semver minor out from like availability in life, and then also it got pushed by some security releases. So we're technically kind of like 2 releases behind what we were hoping to do, and especially with the shortened maintenance period of the shortened active period of 12, that's a little less than ideal in my personal opinion. So I made this proposal, which isn't terrible in my personal opinion. It only really delays the maintenance date by a month, but essentially we would do the Semver patch on the 27th of October and a Semver minor on the 27th of November, and move to maintenance on the 30th. We're still within 14 days of the maintenance date. So we are, to the best of my knowledge, completely within policy, making a change like this. And I guess one thing to add here as well is like, this will ensure that we get the remaining modules changes. There's 2 more features that didn't make it into 12.19, just because they didn't get onto 14 with enough time to bake. And so, it's kind of important. And I think it would be good to get that patch in. We could choose to just do 2 Semver minors, but I know that there are some bugs that there are some open PRs for that we didn't get into this release, including like the HTTP 2 bug that we just recently got fixed. I think there's a streams one that I just saw. So like the 12.19.1 release doesn't even need to be like, to borrow Shelley's words, that chunky. But I think that this would be good. Obviously, we also need people to volunteer to do these 2 releases. But maybe we could start with just like, does anyone have concerns with this schedule and pushing out the maintenance date?
I would say I'm comfortable with it. I think that it's definitely important we get in the modules changes, and I think getting them in the release that I did on Tuesday would have been a little too risky. So I guess like I don't really see like another path that lets us kind of achieve all the things we want to achieve before 12 hits maintenance.
Is there anyone, so are there folks on the call who can help with these releases?
Sorry, what is the timing again for these?
It would be the 27th of October and the 27th of November would be the 2 releases. I guess one thing to talk about really quickly here, I guess, is worth recapping, because I don't think we've really dug into this in a while. Like historically, we've had the LTS releases and releasers and backporting actually being kind of like a separate thing from the main releasers. that still a thing that we distinguish between?
I think we do in terms of onboarding. So we try to onboard people preparing a current release first and then move to LTS. But I don't think they're two separate groups. That's just part of the onboarding process and how we chose to define that process.
Right.
Okay. I could help with the 12.20 release if someone could do the Semver patch, because my October is like dunzo.
That's the same day, Richard, that you're putting the 10 release out, aren't you?
That is the date that I penciled in for the 10 release.
Yeah.
I just picked a date towards the end of the month.
It's also the date for the LTS. I'll open up the schedules. I think it might be the date for 14 going LTS as well.
I believe that's correct.
Release day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also going to volunteer for November, Miles, but I mean, there's also the LTS aspect of it, right? Like, would be the first LTS release.
Roy, if you wanted to do the release, I'd be happy to like help like mentor or support or sponsor or like whatever you need. I just like this month's a mess for me, so I don't want to commit to something I can't get done.
Cool. But for me, the month of October is also like crazy, so I would prefer to.
Do you want to
to
take the 12.20 and we can work together on that one?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Okay, I'll type that in after the meeting, unless you would like to do that now. In terms of the 1291, I might be able to do that one.
Oh, and it should be 12.24, not 12.27. I think I just like picked random days in the issue.
Oh, okay, sure. We're just going to aim for the kind of like last Tuesday of November. I'll change that.
Yeah.
Now. Oh, what have I done? That's the release candidate date. Are we going to try and get the release candidate out a bit earlier? Okay. So I think you mentioned, Miles, it's possibly not the end of the world if we can't find someone to do the 1219 one.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would say is that if we're not going to do the 1219 one, then we maybe don't need like almost 2 months between the two releases.
Okay, so we might bring it forwards.
Yeah, we might want to do this like a little sooner in November. I guess the challenge here would be and maybe we just do a 1220 and we don't do a 1219 one and we just pick a day right now. If we want to change the LTS date, we're supposed to give like 14 days notice. So like next Thursday would be like the latest we could change that date. So I think opening the PR to change that date now is kind of like, you know, makes me feel a little more comfortable. So I guess like in theory, if we just want to say we're going to push it by a month, the maintenance date, then we can just push the maintenance date and we can make 1220 earlier. And then if we need to, we can follow with the 1220.1 if there are patches that we need.
Okay, yeah, I think definitely after this meeting, that PR we're trying open to get that locked in early, and that gives us an extra month to play with in terms of timings.
Yeah, because I also don't think I think everyone more or less who could do this release is on this call. So if no one's like jumping at doing an extra 12 release, I don't think it's going to happen after this call.
Okay, so in terms of bringing 1220 any earlier, is that worth penciling in now, or just leaving it at that date and see how we go over the next week?
I think it might be. So let's look really quickly at the schedule. So you're going to say the 24th, I'd say even just scheduling it for the 17th. That's just a week earlier, with doing the RC on the 3rd, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, those timings look good. It still leaves some room if we want to get a release out in the next 3 or 4 weeks. If someone has time, or if there's a reason that we need to do that, then there's still time to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, in theory, if the only Semver miners that were landing, and this is a conversation that we could have before we do the release, but if the only Semver miners that were landing are these modules changes, modules is experimental. So I guess it's touching common JS too, though. So yeah, these would have to come as Semver miner. Never mind. I'm thinking out loud. Please ignore me.
Sure. Okay, I think we can leave that as it is for now. We'll open the PR to extend by 1 month. And if we do get time to do a release in the meantime, we will. If not, we will wait until then. I think that seems reasonable. And so I think we're pretty much agreed on that topic on the agenda, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, anyone? So just hopping back to the 14 release, it seems like we've almost done our last 14 release that will have new features in it. So the next release that comes out will be the the next release that comes out before it transitions to LTS. So that release on the 27th of October will just have the one commit that marks it as LTS. I think that's correct.
Yeah, that's the current plan.
Yeah. So does anyone want to volunteer for that one, to do a release with just one commit?
I could do that if I'm doing the 10 release on the same day.
Sure. Yep, feel free.
Yeah, okay. There's probably going to be some build things I need to update as well for that, I'm guessing. I have to refresh my memory. I think things like the indexer needs to be updated so that it picks up the code name.
Mm-hmm. I think as we've got 3 weeks between here, if anything major comes up on 14, it might be worth slotting in one additional release before then. That's 3 weeks. So.
Well, we'll have 15 2 weeks after.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Transition, so we'll have a current release.
And then we probably need to start writing our schedule for LTS for 14.
Yep.
I assume we're still going to head towards patch minor kind of cadence. So 1 minor a quarter while it's in active LTS.
yeah, I think if there's no one has any any reasons to change that, I guess that's what we go with.
Okay. So yeah, so 14 we're scheduled up until LTS. 12 we have a plan up until maintenance. 10 is in maintenance, but you are doing a release, Richard, to get any dangling bugs patched.
It's mainly for the NAPI updates. So this release will add NAPI 7, and there's a commit that wasn't backported before, so there's compatibility fix as well.
Okay.
So it's mainly those. There's one small V8 update, and then a couple of minor fixes. There's the update to allow add-ons to be debugged. So there's an entitlement or something in the manifest for Mac.
Oh yes, I remember that one.
I think off the top of my head, that's everything currently in there. So it's not a big release, but it's
yeah, good to do.
So I've got the proposal up there. So as long as no one comes in with any more requests or find anything breaking, I'll try and do a release candidate for either the end of this week or early next week, and aim for that date.
Sure.
But yeah,
Okay.
hopefully it's sort of done, barring the actual release.
I guess another action out of this meeting, as well as trying to write the release plan for 14x going forwards, we probably need to open a 15x release plan. On that, do people find scheduling one release every 2 weeks works?
Probably, but I think we normally end up with like the first couple of weeks of a major. I think we normally end up with a release a week, don't we?
2 releases in the same week normally, from what I remember. Yeah,
I think it's all dependent on whether we can get releaser availability, isn't it?
yeah, and I kind of like the 2 weeks because when something does come up urgently, we tend to just slot that in as an additional release anyway, so it kind of works quite nicely as is. So I'll go with that when I open the issue, the release plan.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other topics to discuss today? So we talked about release schedules, particularly around 12. Is there anything else to add?
No, probably just for awareness, there's an issue. I can't remember where the issue is, but it says that the Windows installers are being flagged as unsafe. And I think that's because we recently changed the signing certificate because the old one was expiring. So I have pinged Xiao and the Windows team to see if there's anything we might do to or need to do to try and get Microsoft's stuff to not treat our installers as suspicious. But I guess it's just worth knowing in case there are more complaints coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably want to fix that before the next 12 release, especially if it means that like the 12.19 MSI will never really install properly on Windows. That
well, you can ignore the warning or bypass the warning, but I don't know if it's something we need to do or if it's just one of those, because we've changed the certificate, it takes a while for the trust to build up. I'm not quite sure how the scanning stuff decides to trust things or not. So I think, I don't know the exact details. I think the certificate changed from like the Node.js Foundation to the OpenJS Foundation. There is a brand new signing certificate and some things in that have changed. So I don't know if it's anything we've done wrong or whether it's just the fact that we've got a new certificate because the old one was due to expire.
Yeah, that issue was reported on 12.19, wasn't it?
Yeah, I tried downloading the 14.13 one and
it'd be the same
thing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good to be aware of. Okay. Anything else to add finally before we close out? If not, give you some time back and thank you all for joining.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.